Once upon a time, clothing served many purposes. It kept one warm, obviously, it provided modesty, certainly, but above all, it made one recognizable. A soldier was known as a soldier by the uniform he wore. Courage, a sword, discipline were not enough. That uniform had to declare to anyone who looked at him, I am a soldier. And so it was with the priest in his cassock, the merchant in his heavy woolen cloak, the notable gentleman with his silver buttons. Every social role had its attire, and that attire was a language everyone knew how to read. Yet take note, whatever one's social station, beauty was always sought. Always. It was not sufficient for clothing merely to communicate function. It had to be beautiful, or at the very least aspire to beauty within the limits allowed by one's condition. The soldier desired a uniform that was not only practical but dignified. The priest looked for grace even in the simplicity of his cassock. Even the farmer with modest means would sew his Sunday waistcoat with an eye to line and cut, to that small detail which made all the difference. Why? Because clothing reflected the very same principle that inspired frescoes in churches and statues in public squares. It was about maintaining a bond with beauty. It was not vanity, it was civilization. It was the recognition that man lives also through the eyes, and that what is seen has the power to elevate or to degrade. A well-made garment, a carefully chosen fabric, a color that conversed with the body and the light. This was not luxury, it was dignity. Clothing said, I belong to this world, and this world deserves that I present myself at the very best of my ability. Today, if we walk through the streets of our cities, we see people dressed alike and dressed badly. It is not a question of money. There are those who spend hundreds of pounds on trainers that look as though they have escaped from an orthopedic laboratory. There are those who buy hoodies emblazoned with incomprehensible slogans, shapeless tops that conceal the body rather than honor it, trousers that hang without form or intention. The alliance between consumerism, which wishes to sell countless identical copies of the same garment, and a loss of aesthetic sense produces precisely this: badly dressed people. Consumerism thrives on uniformity. It requires that everyone purchase the same thing because mass production costs less and yields more. Thus trends are born, which are nothing other than injunctions to conform. This year it is ripped jeans, next year oversized bombers, then chunky trainers, then crop tops, then something else entirely. And everyone follows along like sheep without asking whether that thing truly suits them, their body, their life. But consumerism alone does not explain the disaster. We must also account for the absence of aesthetic sense. There must be the notion that clothing is merely clothing, that it does not matter, that it is only about comfort or price or brand. There must be the idea that dressing well is superficial, frivolous, bourgeois. And so people leave their homes as though they were taking out the rubbish. Faded jeans, anonymous sweatshirt, shapeless shoes, no intention, no choice, no beauty. Look at any square on a Saturday afternoon. Observe the crowd. What do you see? People who appear to have stepped out of a catalogue of indifference. Dull colors, absent forms, hidden bodies. No one who has thought, this suits me. No one who has looked in the mirror and consciously decided to present themselves thus to the world. Let us be concrete. Consider trainers. Once they were for sport. Now they are everywhere. You see them in restaurants, in theaters, even at weddings. And I am not speaking of elegant leather trainers, white and clean, which possess a certain dignity. I am speaking of those misshapen contraptions with soles 5 centimeters thick, fluorescent colors, enormous logos, shoes that look designed for walking on the moon rather than crossing a street. People spend £250 to resemble clumsy astronauts. Or ripped jeans purchased already torn, as though poverty were a style, as though the marks of labor, of time, of lived life could be bought in a shop. Once jeans tore because you wore them, worked in them, lived in them. Today you buy them pre-distressed, pre-worn, pre-lived. It is the triumph of simulation, and you pay more precisely because they are torn. You pay to appear poor. Hoodies with hoods, another emblem of our age. Shapeless, oversized, without line. You see them everywhere. They conceal the body, erase the silhouette, homogenize. A slender young man and a fuller young woman in the same oversized hoodie become the same outline. And the hood serves to hide the head as well, to withdraw, to disappear. It is not clothing, it is camouflage. Then there are leggings worn as trousers. They are not trousers. Leggings are undergarments that have wandered outdoors. They reveal everything and enhance nothing. They cling, they flatten, they expose without elegance. Comfort is not a justification. Pajamas are comfortable too, yet one does not go out in pajamas. At least one ought not to. And men, in many cases, they fare worse. Shirts perpetually untucked as though tucking one in were too demanding, too formal, too bourgeois, so the shirt dangles, shapeless, senseless. Or the polo shirt, that hybrid neither shirt nor t-shirt, often worn in the most improbable colors, electric blue, acid green, traffic light orange. Shorts in summer. Very well, it is warm. But there are shorts and there are shorts. Those that fall below the knee, baggy, covered in pockets as though borrowed from a scout. Those that transform any man into an eternal adolescent even at 50. People have ceased to become adults even in their dress. And colors, or rather the absence of them. Black, gray, navy, beige, these are the colors of our time. Colors that say nothing, risk nothing. Black above all, the color of those who do not wish to err and therefore do not wish to choose. A summer city bathed in astonishing light, and people dressed as though attending a funeral. Where have the colors gone? Where is the courage to say, today I shall wear red, or yellow, or green? Where is the idea that color speaks, that it says something about you, that it relates to light, to season, to mood? Everything flattened into a gray uniformity that is the visual equivalent of white noise. And yet it could be otherwise. One need not be wealthy. One need not purchase designer labels. One needs an eye, an intention, a minimum of care. One must look in the mirror and ask, does this suit me? Does this say something true about me? Above all, is this beautiful? To return to choosing the right garment is an aesthetic commitment. It is also an ethical one. Ethical towards those who look at you. Because yes, others do look at you. You occupy space within their field of vision. That space you may fill with beauty or ugliness, with care or negligence, with presence or absence. When you leave the house badly dressed, without thought, as though your body were merely a sack to be stuffed with any cloth at hand, you are saying to others, I do not care about you. I do not care about the effect I have. I do not care to contribute to the beauty or the ugliness of the world. That is not freedom. It is selfishness. To dress well, by contrast, is an act of generosity. It is to say, I dwell in this world with you, and I wish the world to be better even through my small contribution. Even if only for the time it takes me to cross this street, enter that cafe, walk through that square. It is not vanity, it is responsibility. Dressing well does not mean dressing expensively or fashionably. It means dressing consciously. It means knowing your body, knowing what suits it and what does not. Choosing colors that enhance you, cuts that flatter, fabrics that make you feel at ease. It means cultivating a relationship with clothing that is not consumption, but care. Take a white shirt. A white shirt well ironed, properly fitted, worn with intention. It need not cost £300. It may cost 30 if it is well made. Yet that shirt, worn thoughtfully, says more than £1,000 worth of branded garments thrown on without sense. It says you respect yourself and therefore others. Or take a dress, a simple dress in a color that suits you, cut to follow your form without crushing or concealing it. That dress transforms you. It straightens your posture. It alters your walk. It changes the way you inhabit space. This is not magic. It is clothing doing its proper work. For although it is said that the cowl does not make the monk, it is equally true that without the habit, no one recognizes the monk. Clothing is language. It is communication. It is the first way you speak to others before you open your mouth. If that language is slovenly, shapeless, negligent, you are already saying something. You are already speaking. And what you are saying is, I do not care. Beauty, by contrast, is always a form of respect. Respect for the world, for others, for yourself. It is the recognition that things have form and that form matters. That a well-dressed body is not merely more pleasing to behold, but more true, more present, more alive. So here is the invitation. Choose again. Look at yourself in the mirror, not with the haste of someone flinging on the first garment at hand, but with the attention of someone who knows that the gesture counts. Think of clothing not as protection or obligation, but as possibility, the possibility of saying something true and something beautiful. And the next time you step out of your house, ask yourself, is this beautiful? Does this represent me? Is this worthy of the world I shall walk through today? If the answer is yes, go out. If the answer is no, change. You are a person who lives in the world, and the world needs beauty. It needs you to bring beauty to it, even if only through a garment chosen well.